Hello, I'm Rosalee de la Forêt, and I'm here hanging out with Mountain Rose Herbs. And I'm excited to show you one of my very favorite herbal preparations. These are bitter, aromatic, digestive pastilles, or as some people say, pastilles. And the recipe that I'm going to be doing today comes from my book, Alchemy of Herbs. And I've measured out the ingredients for you here, and I'm going to read them off for you. There's a teaspoon of angelica root powder, a teaspoon of coriander powder, a half teaspoon gentian root, a half teaspoon orange peel, and a quarter teaspoon freshly ground black pepper. So one of the reasons I really like herbal pastilles is because we get to consume the whole plant, right? So when we make teas or decoctions, syrups, even alcohol extracts like tinctures, we're taking an extract of the plant. We're using some kind of menstruum to extract properties from the plants, and then we're taking that. With powders, we get to use the whole things and leave that up to our digestive system to then take what it needs. So a lot of times when people have herbal powders, they simply put them in capsules and then swallow those. And that certainly works too. With pastilles, what we do is we have honey that binds the powders together, and then we get to taste the herbs that we're using. So these are ideal to have on hand, and I like to eat one maybe 10-15 minutes before my meal. So as I said, I've measured out the ingredients for you, and all we have to do is mix those up together. And it's good, we're going to add honey next, but first we really want to get everything well combined. So making these are so simple. All we have to do is combine those powders together, and then we're going to add honey little by little until we can form it into a paste. The only tricky part is not adding too much honey, and it can be a little bit deceiving. So what I do, first you want to have honey that's really liquid in nature. If it's too thick, you're going to have a really hard time mixing it together. I would add just a tiny bit like that. It's honey, so you're allowed to make a sweet mess that you can lick up later. And then you just mash it and mash it. And it really is easy to add too much. Of course, if you add too much honey, then you just add more powders to it and you just keep playing with it. But I just like to add the honey really slowly until I get the right consistency. As I'm mixing this, I can really smell those aromatics coming out. The angelica, the coriander, the gentian. It smells really delicious. So it's really important when you're working with powders that you have really fresh powders. You really want all those strong aromatic principles to be coming through. So I recommend one of two things: either buy your herbs whole and then grind them into a powder just before you make the pastille, or be sure to get them from wonderful companies like Mountain Rose Herbs, where you know they've been ground fresh and they're still really potent. Okay, so I've been mixing these powders with the honey. You can see it's not really a liquid, right? I just want them barely mixed together so that when you pinch them off, that they stay together. If you do more than this, they're just going to fall flat on you. So now that we have the herb and honey mixture together and mixed up, our next step is that we're going to make these little balls. Those are the pastille herbal pills. And then we're going to roll them in a powder. So in here I have orange powder and salt. And these will be the first taste when you have your herbal pastille. The salt gives it a nice taste, it enhances flavor, and it also stimulates digestion. So you want to mix those up separately in a little bowl. Have them all set. You take your little round pastille and you just roll it through the powder. So this does a couple of things. Like I mentioned, it'll be the first taste when you have your pastille, but as you store your pastille, it's also going to allow them to touch and not stick together. So you can just keep making these up. And in terms of size, as you make them, you'll figure out what size you like. I like them kind of on the small to medium size. You'll see when you taste them that they do have bitter principles to them. Both those other aromatic herbs like the coriander and the gentian, they add a nuanced flavor and really bring all the tastes together in a beautiful way. So that's it to making herbal pastilles. These, they'll last for a while, but I like to put them in the fridge and use them in about a week or so. They'll keep for longer, but that's kind of an interesting taste experience. As they age, they're gonna lose some of their taste. So that's why I like to make them in these small batches and use them up quickly. If for some reason you don't want to use honey, you could use maple syrup or a brown rice syrup, anything that has that sweetness and stickiness that's going to bind things together. And as I said, I like to eat them 10-15 minutes before a meal. You could eat them after a meal if you like, and share them with friends and enjoy all the benefits of these bitter, aromatic, digestive pastilles.